Oh, we do belch tracks. So if you
Okay,
want
good. Because I'm trying to save them for later.
What's that movie? Sit ahead. Don't ask Alenka, she'll say, I haven't seen it.
Welcome to the Haven't Seen It podcast, the podcast where we bring people on the show and we get them really drunk and they tell them about a movie that I've never seen before. I'm one of your hosts, Alenka Zach.
And I'm Will.
Oh, you just don't have a last name anymore?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, that's cool. Well, guess what, you guys? Today we got a very special episode because we're diving into horror.
Yay!
Excuse me, you've not been introduced yet. Will.
On the show today, we have Shawna, Agent Shawna, and Agent Rob of the Roadhouse Investigation Patrol podcast, aka the R.I.P podcast. Out now. Go listen. When this eventually ends.
Yeah, if you
Yes, please.
if you want to like shit your pants from scaredness, probably listen, you know.
Hi.
Yes, you're allowed to speak.
Okay, good.
Okay, now.
I fucked up.
I'm so sorry. We just get so excited and want to say hi right away. Oh, hello.
Every interaction with a human, I'm like,
Hi.
hi. So quick.
Yeah, no.
So quick to greet.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
My question is, what defines a horror?
Okay, somebody told me this once because I was mad about the movie The Witch that everyone really likes that I don't like, and I think I'm the only human on the earth.
The Vitch?
The Witch.
The Witch, yes, the Witch.
You have to say it
I
like
don't
two
understand.
V's. The Witch.
It's like all
We'll talk
V's.
about it later.
I don't understand the reference.
Yeah. But I was all mad about it because I just didn't think it was scary. But somebody told me the definition of horror, which was like if you're questioning the lead character's sanity. Is that what it is? If the lead character questions.
No, see,
I
the
think
thing
you're
is,
questioning
no,
right now.
They're having a midlife crisis,
this is a
right?
complicated question because like horror is really expanding because like there's so many films that come out and people are like, oh, it's a horror film just because the director did a horror movie before that movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, they're a horror director, so now it's a horror film. Like, for example, Midsommar that came out
Oh,
this year.
so good.
Oh,
Like, they did
Heard of it.
Hereditary.
I
it
would
was
call
a
that horror though. Midsommar
It's
is totally
horrific.
horror.
It's horrific.
But is
it
that
a horror?
like?
That's
But
so, like-
and that's the debate of like, okay,
Yeah.
does the main character question their sanity, and the whole way through she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that is
Well,
like
and then in that
her
case,
journey.
so you're telling me horror is defined by if the main character questions their sanity and not based on like blood?
No, see, well, that's the thing. It's like not.
That was a genuine question.
No. It's no, because like not every horror requires there to be a violence or like a slasher element, right? Which is like why
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, I hate horror. It's all blood and guts, and they're missing out on a whole world of what's wonderful about like
Yeah.
the supernatural. Like there's like so many ghost stories and stuff that
Okay.
need no violence, right?
Mhm.
That are
Okay.
just spooky, right? Like
Yeah.
it's what lurks in the dark. I find like horror is all about looking into the abyss and seeing what stares back.
Yuck.
Ew, I hate it. I
Mhm.
love it.
Don't like
yeah.
it. Not a fan of what was
You
just
know?
said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, like with comedy looks into the darkness and laughs at it. Horror looks into the darkness and then walks into it.
Yuck. Mm-mm.
Ooh.
But why? Scared of the dark.
But why? Why would you do that?
Why would you question that?
Because it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
Mhm.
The adrenaline. It's a
a
high.
rush.
It's a
Yeah.
rush.
Did you know you can get probably the same adrenaline from eating just really spicy food? It's true.
Yeah, but
Oh.
imagine eating like a nice spicy dish.
With your eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Imagine eating a spicy dish with your eyes.
Yeah, no, I'm understanding this for sure. It's a,
Spicy content.
yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
I don't
It
know.
wouldn't
It's
hurt.
just like
Mhm.
there's also like an element of just like kind of naughtiness to it. Like,
Are you sure?
Well, there's just like because like there's something about like where you're watching something that maybe you're not supposed to be watching. Something that your parents are going to be like.
That's the movie channel at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
big
It's just
time.
like, you know.
Of course. Is this a high five or a question? I was ready. I was like, yeah, girl.
She's so into human interaction. She doesn't get it. It's fine. I'm in contact.
She just wants to say hi and give high fives to everybody. Anyways.
You know what? I don't want to dive too deep into this right now.
Well, after all that, do you guys think that Alenka will even watch the movie that we're about to discuss?
I mean,
I hope so. Because it's great.
It's spicy.
It's really good.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what movie are we discussing today, guys?
We don't have a plan, but we look like we do.
Yeah.
We're like, ready, one,
Ready,
2, 3. Psycho! Yes.
Cue the music.
So I misunderstood the assignment a little bit, and I watched.
Do you want us to stay quiet at this point?
Should we? Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh. So I watched the 1998 classic starring Vince Vaughn.
Oh.
Psycho.
Psychic.
Psychic Psycho?
The very little known Psychic Psycho.
Wait, you thought we were discussing that version of Psycho?
A little part of me did. A little, because I was like, so we're going to watch the unknown movie.
Oh, so it's just as good as the
Yeah.
original.
What you
No.
misunderstood is that I don't watch movies.
Yeah. So we're gonna give
all the
you.
well-known movies.
We're gonna
Yeah.
give you both.
Yeah, we're going to do both, is
Yeah.
the plan. Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do a compare
Because it
and
was
share.
a '98 remake.
Yikes.
'97 or
With
98,
the with the
98.
VV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a cast.
The VV, yeah.
Mm.
What a cast.
What?
You
When
know.
was the original?
1960.
Okay.
Mhm.
A spookier time, I think, overall.
It's
Yes.
a wonderful time, and it's a wonderful time for horror and cinema at that time. And we're getting out of a very uptight 1950s, and then comes along Psycho, and it's pretty great.
We begin with the drink that I've made for us. today.
Yes.
So
It
as
took
is,
a lot of
as is
effort.
tradition, I make a specialty drink for the movie that we are discussing. Today I'm gonna I didn't make a name for this one, but I'm gonna call it.
Bloodbath?
I'm just gonna call it that
that's
scene. We're referring it to that scene.
Yeah,
I like
The
that.
drink is called
Yeah.
that scene.
Okay, yeah.
That's good.
And
It's okay.
well, Rob, Shawna, can you describe the drink?
Oh,
they
fuck,
haven't
it's
tasted
awesome.
it yet.
Well, we'll describe
Describe
it
the look.
visually. Well, it's in a kind of a boat type dish.
A tub, if you will.
A tub. Yes. So it is
Don't
full
judge us.
of a bloody colored alcoholic drink,
As if something horrific had happened in this
Yeah.
tub.
and it is made up to look like a shower.
Mhm. There's a curtain involved.
Yeah.
There are sticks welded together.
There's
It's
about
made
a
of
pound
metal.
of hot glue on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the craftsmanship is out of control.
There
in
may
this
be
thing.
a
Yeah.
touch in the drink. It's good for
We'll
you.
know soon.
It adds texture.
But I-
Sticky.
The
Well, I
mouthfeel.
think we are ready to drink this on mic.
Yay! Oh, that's strong.
That
I
is a
love
strong one.
Ooh, that's some good vodka.
it. That's a lot of it. Too.
Yeah, I guess
yeah.
what's in it
Well, I
is
put a whole bottle of
is
vodka.
vodka.
Yeah,
Well, a
this is
whole
great.
mini bottle.
Maybe
So-
this-
so it's just
we
red
don't talk
vodka.
about- Just red vodka. This is red vodka.
It is. It's basically
there's
red.
some cran juice in it.
Yeah.
There's some
There's some sody
cran
water.
and soda.
Perrier.
Grenna don't. Don't pour it.
Grenadine.
Yeah.
Um,
All
I feel
right.
weird drinking it because I know what happened here.
yeah.
I liked her.
This is for sure. That scene is the only thing I know about this movie.
That's
It's
cool.
a it's a classic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, listen
Well-
up, y'all. There's a lot of classics she ain't seen.
Well,
Let's
we're
not
here.
judge.
We're here to help. We're here to
Yeah.
help.
So what do you know about this movie?
Yeah, so I know it's
Dirty Al.
Psycho. That's the name. I feel like I should know who directed it. Don't tell me yet. I think I know. I just don't want to say in case I'm wrong because it's like
No, but say-
embarrassing.
No, I'm curious. I'm curious who you think directed it.
Steven Spielberg, right? No, wrong. Am I wrong? Am I fucking wrong?
You're like
You're wrong.
Yeah.
so.
I'm not. He was what? Probably like
30
5
years
years old.
No, he would probably been at least like 10.
Honestly, I
no,
don't
no,
know
no,
his
no, he would have been
self-esteem,
like
and
a
you guys are
teenager
kind of
at that
crushing
point.
it right now.
So-
Thank you.
It's just
My
like-
whole purpose in life is so that I feel superior to others. This is not helpful. My intelligence is a
So
big.
do Do you want us to just pretend that's
Excuse me.
Steven Spielberg?
Just hold on a second. Excuse me. I'm not done relaying the rest of the very embarrassing details of this that I don't know.
Okay.
I'm in film school right now. It's the best part of this.
No.
No, I
And what department? Sorry, I'm not. I don't want to be mean.
Is they've absolutely showed us clips from this movie. But
And you're just like, Steven Spielberg's great.
Listen, I don't know
his
what
work.
movies he's directed. Can't wait to find out who made this film. Sounds like it's a classic. No more discussion on that.
He didn't make the remake either.
Excuse me. I know.
Who
I
did
know
direct
this,
this movie?
The 1960s?
Yes.
Alfred Hitchcock.
No, I know.
That was just for the comedy.
I think I hate myself so much right now. You have no idea. Cool. Yeah, spicy. I like it. Okay, so
Yeah, so it's
I'm sad.
Alfred Hitchcock,
Yep.
1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, so I know the scene. I literally don't know what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about murder. Maybe.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a blonde lady.
Yes. Accurate.
Yeah, you're getting spicy.
Accurate.
She gets stabbed.
Does she ever?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then blood elegantly dripples on the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom of the
Yes.
tub.
Yeah.
And you see
Yeah.
it go down the drain. And then from the drain, it turns into an eyeball? Is it an eye?
Yeah, there's a shot of the eye. The blood doesn't turn into an
That's
eye.
all
It's just
they tell me in film school.
That doesn't happen.
They're not telling you.
They're like,
They're not
pay
telling you.
attention to the shot. Pay attention to
No, it's
this
just that,
edit.
the camera just zooms in on
Yeah.
her eye.
That doesn't happen in the 98
Boy.
version. They had a lower
absurd.
budget.
That makes sense.
Wait, a lower budget than the 1960s version of Hitchcock?
Well, maybe.
Like I feel like
due to inflation.
like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
so I
That's what I
feel
meant, yeah.
I feel like I want to say he did it for like $1 million because it was
no.
yes because it was one of his like he decided to do it low budget. He funded it himself because nobody wanted to make this movie because they were just like it's trash and no and so he funded it himself and he used his TV crew from his Alfred Presents. And so he used his TV crew and he funded it. He basically produced the movie. And I think he did it for like really, really cheap. And that's why he did it in black and white because he had just finished North by Northwest, which is all in color. And a lot of his movies had been color. And then he did this in black and white.
Wow.
So it wasn't an artistic choice. It was just like, I'm broke.
It is an artistic choice because for money reasons it was black and white, but he also chose to do it because of the violence he wanted. He didn't want the bright red blood. He wanted it to be, dulled down a bit and stuff to cut
Subtle.
to be subtle about it because
For the kids.
for the children who would be seeing
Yeah.
Psycho.
Well, when the
Right.
families go, it's
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All American.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off by first telling us when's the first time you've watched this movie and how many times have you watched this movie?
Ooh.
Yeah, I meant to, because I feel like I watched this for the first time with my mother. I feel like, which is a lot of my horror movies. Is like
Ironic.
yeah, very yes.
I don't-
yes, yes.
That boy's best friend.
The
am I
boy's
right?
best friend is his mother.
Alenka doesn't get that reference.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yet.
Is this movie about incest? It's not. No, I know. Oh, I get it. I know what's gonna happen now.
I
I think
you
Go
might.
on.
I've guessed the movies wrong already in the past, so it's fine.
I feel like I was like 11 or 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old.
It's a great
Too
parent.
old. Too old.
Snooze.
Yeah.
Gotta grow up.
Yeah. I am sorry that I didn't start watching it at 6. I do apologize. Yeah, I watch it at least once a year.
Wow.
Why? When?
Impressive.
What time?
I usually watch it around like what time?
November?
Like 3 in the afternoon. 3 in the afternoon. No,
For real?
No, I watch it usually around Halloween time. Like usually leading up to Halloween, I'll throw on Psycho. There's a number that are just like a number of movies that I'm just like, it's the season. I want to watch this movie.
The classics.
The classics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Psycho's up there.
Well, I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's arguably one of the best movies ever made.
100%.
Mention I'm in films.
yeah, it's usually on the top 10
think-
list of most things.
Yeah, how about you, Shawna?
Ironically, I saw the 98 version first, which is
You're just a big Vince Vaughn fan.
I love remakes so much. I love remakes. I love sequels. Fight
There you
me.
go.
But I saw because my parents rented the 98 version when I was like 9 years old, and they didn't give a fuck what I watched. Like we watched like Deep Blue Sea, we watched all that shit. So I was like, all right. And they put on Psycho, and I remember watching that as a kid. And then years later being like, that was a remake? And like I watched the original and I was like, what a better film. And like that really stood out to me. So I think I watched the remake when I was like 18. I mean the original when I was 18. And I think that was like, because that was when I started really appreciating good movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let's make a choice to watch the better film. Like, let's consciously do this. So I think that was around 18 and a high school. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Rocked my world.
Fuck me up good. Yeah,
Real
no.
good. Real good. Because I was like, the first one's boring. Or the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is boring. And then I just realized that the remake was bad.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? Yeah, I did not.
No.
Well, and I saw the remake second, and I said, why did I do this to
Yeah.
myself? Like, what's the point?
Same
Well-
plot? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I haven't. I
But
did-
with robots. Right?
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
in the future.
Guys, 100% do not lie because I'm taking this all as truth.
It's not in the future. It's
Yeah, and a lot of it's like shot for shot,
oh yeah.
with just a little more like risque, kind
Little
of like
more
90s,
edge.
like sex
appeal.
Yeah,
Viggo Mortensen.
yeah, Viggo Mortensen.
Hello.
Ooh,
That's
he's
fine.
in that one.
You guys
Yeah.
want to know a secret that I found out when I was watching this remake?
Yes.
Viggo Mortensen has a tramp stamp.
Nice.
Whoa.
Are we allowed to say tramp stamp? these
Yeah, no,
days?
of course.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has a tramp stamp.
I don't know.
Lower back tattoo. He has a lower back tattoo, and it's not for the movie.
What
Mm.
is
It's
it?
like-
That's
It's
his real
writing.
life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but like opening scene, Viggo Mortensen in bed with this
Wait.
chick in the remake, and he like rolls over and gets out of bed, lower back tattoo.
I guess they didn't have the
I'm
budget to
inspired.
cover
I don't, and he
that.
has like a small one here, like on his upper arm.
Yeah.
But I was more enthralled by the lower back incident.
You know what? I've got to rewatch Eastern Promises and see because he's like naked a lot in that
Yeah.
movie,
But
but,
he has
he's
l-
covered in tattoos
tattoos, yeah.
on purpose for the movie.
Yeah.
I wonder
If that made
what
it in.
that if that's some like prison tramp
Yeah.
stamp,
Or if they
they're making it
covered
prison
that
tramp.
up.
Oh yeah, they covered up his tramp stamp and covered him up.
They were
with
like, we
other
need to
tattoos."
make you look cool. This isn't it. This is not. Yeah.
So do we like start at the beginning?
Well, you're not going to start at the end.
It starts
with a tramp
Sons.
stamped man.
no,
That
no,
was my question,
but it
too.
does start with a couple, an unmarried couple.
Uh-oh.
And now
Ooh.
this is 1960. We're just getting out of 1950s, which is an
Mhm.
uptight decade.
Yeah.
And they are in their underwear,
Oh.
and they are having an affair.
Yep.
Ooh,
Not
yeah.
allowed.
I mean,
Yes.
that hasn't changed in every media that we watch.
How is that? How is that known right off the bat?
Well, they address it. Basically,
They're like,
they're
so this
they've-
affair's pretty sick.
They're
eh?
meeting. Well, they're meeting. The two main characters at the beginning, which is Janet Leigh, who's Marion Crane,
Mhm.
and then there's John Gavin, who's Sam Loomis, and the two of them are meeting at lunch hour to have a little tryst.
Little afternoon delight.
No.
And the whole idea is that he is divorced. He wants to marry her, but he's in a lot of debt.
Mm.
And so these sort of sexual liaisons, these little meetings are taboo because they're not married.
Mhm.
And this is all through like It's all through
dialogue.
text, dialogue.
Yeah, it's dialogue.
Great.
Yeah, it starts
Alfred
with them.
Hitchcock
Yeah.
doesn't walk out. He's like, this man.
Yeah,
this man.
and it starts with them. Yeah, it starts with them in bed together, which is something that you just also don't see a lot in like film up until this point. To people being, sexy, and
But they never really get sexy. It's just like 10 minutes of exposition.
yeah, basically. But it sets it up. But
That's their
Yeah.
thing.
yeah,
Cute.
That's what they want.
And then she goes back to work. And yes, she goes back to work. She works at some sort of firm.
Real estate.
Yeah, real estate firm.
Ooh.
And
Wait, women could be real estate agents?
She was
No,
a
she's
secretary.
Oh my
It is the 60s.
yes,
It
it's
is
her
the 60s.
and Alfred Hitchcock's daughter are the two secretaries.
Yeah.
And in the scene, Alfred Hitchcock also has like a walk by, which he always used to do in all his films. Alfred Hitchcock always like has a little cameo.
Cute.
Yeah, it is. It's
like
it's adorable.
Sounds like a cute
Yeah.
guy.
So he's in a cowboy hat out the window.
Yeah. I didn't
He's
know
a
that,
very-
actually. I
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
notice.
He's
Yeah,
a very noticeable person.
Yeah,
Because
but he
you look at him and you're like, that's all.
Yeah,
that's
and a
Alfred
lot of his
Hitchcock.
films,
I missed
he
him.
makes it like very. But the thing is he wanted it to be kind of subtle because he wanted you to focus on the story. Like he was just like, I got to do the Alfred Hitchcock thing where I show up, but this time I want it to be super subtle. Like I don't want to take away because this is the build. So, anyways,
Is he like he's like the original Stan Lee then for that?
yes, he is the
Yes.
original Stanley.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so she's working at this real estate firm, and this man shows up and he drops off $40,000 in cash.
40?
Ooh.
400.
40,000.
There's
Just
more money in the 98.
Well, yes.
Sorry.
It's 1960.
Well,
40,000
yeah.
is a lot of money.
It would probably be like 400,000.
Yeah.
True.
98.
Can we do that math later? Can we?
We had a similar discussion in our Jaws episode. We're like, that was a lot of money back then.
I refuse.
Yeah. And she decides, like, they're like, okay, well, you need to take, to Janet Leigh, you need to take this money to the bank. And she decides in that moment that she's going to steal the $40,000.
All of it.
Yeah. So
Not
that
even just a little bit of it.
Every cent.
every cent of it.
Wow.
And she's going to go to her man and she's going to pay off the debts
Yeah.
and run away and marry him. And,
And so Janet Lee's
Women
the
are
actress,
stupid.
right?
Janet Leigh's the
Exactly.
actress. So
Marion
Marion
Crane.
Crane.
Okay.
Marion
What did
Crane is
he do?
the character.
Yeah.
He
So-
worked at a shop of sorts.
Yes. Well, yes. That's
Car shop in
Not
both?
hard enough.
No, he works at like a hardware store.
Oh yeah, same.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Yeah,
He doesn't even work on the hardware.
he just sells it.
Yeah.
He just has affairs.
He's charming.
Ew.
Yeah.
So
don't like him.
she gets in the car and
He's cute.
and she
No.
books it. She gets out of town with this $40,000. And so like the build up here is that like she now has committed a big crime
Mhm.
and every corner somebody's looking at her. Someone's like, and there's a police officer.
Ooh,
Yeah, right.
creepy.
She pulls off to the side of the road to fall asleep because she's been driving all night. And a cop comes and she's just being very weird. She's just like, I'm fine. And he's just
He's like, what about
"Oh."
that 40,000? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, like there's nothing to see here. Like, there's nothing in my trunk. There's nothing in my trunk.
It's
is
a
there
pillow.
is there something in your trunk? No, there's nothing in my trunk. And so like this cop just follows her. So you're following Marion Crane's journey, and eventually a storm hits, and so she has to.
Is that a metaphor?
The storm?
Yeah,
Isn't it always?
it probably is.
Yeah. I mean, a metaphor to what?
I just
I
thought
don't
it would
know.
be convenience,
Of
to get
what's
the plot
Yeah.
moving.
coming.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
Just
I
a
then-
real quick
and I
I
mean,
don't think
storyline.
that
honestly,
deep about it.
Honestly, a horror movie without a storm doesn't work.
Does she trade her car in the
Yeah.
original?
Oh, yes.
She
Sorry.
trades the car,
yeah. She
right?
even trades the car
Yeah.
because she realizes like people might be following her, and so she
Yeah.
switches cars.
Can I tell you
When?
the thing I hated about the 98 version the most?
Please.
The car scene when she goes to trade it in, she pulls up her car and across the street is the cop.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Terrifying.
Which is also the 1960s. He's
Yes,
just like-
exactly. It's like a real copy situation. But like she gets to the thing and she's like freaking out because the cop's watching her and the guy's like, oh, it's gonna be 4,000. She's like, 4,000. He's like, yeah, are you gonna haggle me? And she's like, nope, 4,000. So she gives him the 4,000. gets in the car, and as she's like getting ready to go, the cop is like slowly approaching her because you assume that he knows what's going on, and he creeps and he creeps and he creeps, and he gets to the car, and he's like 5 feet away from her, and he doesn't say a fucking word.
Yeah.
Like he just looks at her like this.
Well, that's
For those of you who can't see me, he looks at her with squinty eyes behind big ol' aviators.
well,
And he's like, and she's just like, and gets in the car and takes off. But he like gets to the car and he doesn't do anything. And it bothered me.
Well, that's the 1960s version too, because he's just standing there, just watching. The guy's just like, "Oh, that'll be $700," and she's just like, "Fine." He's like, "Fine, you're just gonna give me $700? What are you, running away from something?"
Yes.
And she's just like, "No, I'm not running away from anything. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine." And this cop keeps like just following her.
But
Finally,
does he get to the car?
Yes, he does. Like he basically, and the two of them, like she, yeah. So
Darn.
it's like 98 is like a shot for shot.
It's annoying. It's annoying.
You
It's a
hate
shot
the
for
98
shot, but
version.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like when you pour water in your parents' vodka. You know what I mean?
No.
Because you've been stealing it for years.
Yeah, and you fill it
then,
up with water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You
then
guys,
at the
I
end
was
of
not
it,
kidding when I said I was pure before I met you. I don't know these tricks. Okay.
Yes,
It's
It's
just
like
what
the
you
Lion
do.
we
King
love
movie.
conjuring up
Yeah.
spirits and drinking.
and stealing vodka.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, you water it down, and then by the time you're 19 and you can drink, all of a sudden they're like, "You want the vodka?" And you're like, "No, thank you," because you know
it's
what's
just a
in
big
it.
bottle
it's
of water.
Yeah, and that's Psycho the remake is the watered down fucking vodka. And you're like, I see what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
and the thought is really nice, but I hate it.
So
And then you have to
It's
drink
not
your
right.
parents' vodka and be like,
Correction, it's
"Oh,
the-
alcohol's different."
the watered down vodka cran.
Yeah.
Yes,
Taken
exactly.
out of the
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
yeah.
let's all take a real quick sippy pill. So good.
Great lie. Great lie.
So she trades her
Loved
car.
it.
So she trades her car and continues hitting the road.
One more thing.
Yes.
So, in the '98 version,
I
the
hate you.
license plate, the license plate was ANL 709, and all I thought was anal. 709.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No.
Am I wrong to
No.
think that?
That's probably what it is.
That probably.
They probably meant to do that.
Although
I
when-
think so.
Yeah, in the
It's probably a
1960s
reference
version,
to
it's not
Vigo's stamp tram. So
Probably. That's what his tramp stamp says. And you're like, what a twist.
Yeah. So she hits the road, and a storm comes.
storms are coming.
Storms are coming. It's raining. So she pulls over to a motel, the Bates Motel.
Is that what the show's about?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuff
It
happens.
is.
At the,
Yes.
Does the rest of the plot take place at this hotel?
We can't tell you that.
Yeah,
yet.
we have to.
What?
We're
We'll
working
tell you at
towards
the
it.
end.
Yeah.
It's like you're watching a movie right now, Alenka.
Remind us later.
Boy,
So,
Have you watched that show?
no.
Okay.
I don't watch anything.
so Marion Crane shows up at this hotel, and she meets Norman Bates.
Oh my
Aw.
god! Quick. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I know the names.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
She you just
Wait,
wanted
have
to
you
see.
have you seen
By the way, you guys-
that? Have you seen that show?
Yep.
She says
Oh,
no.
okay.
No, this was already asked.
Oh, sorry.
Remember.
I've got a lot of things to
Literally, like, 2
focus on.
seconds ago.
So she meets Norman Bates, who is
Who's he?
Nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
Wait, what's
the
her name again?
Marion Crane.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he yeah, of course you do. And
Yeah.
then so he runs and operates the Bates Motel with his
Mother.
Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
He's a man or
He is
a
a
boy?
man.
He's a
But
man.
in the
Man.
show,
Grown
he's a
man.
boy.
In the show he's a boy because it's
Get
like
it?
it's a
Prequel.
prequel.
Oh.
But it's set in modern.
Yeah, it's
Is it?
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2010.
I watched
Why?
it a
Because
lot.
it's dumb.
Ugh, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've never seen the
Nice.
show. Explain it to us later.
All right, new podcast happening.
So she checks in to room 1,
It's dumb.
which is close to
Not her choice.
which is closer to him where if she needs anything to the office.
What does he say though? Oh, yeah.
Call me,
12,
beat
12
me.
cabins, 12 vacancies. That laugh.
Yes, yeah,
Ew.
yeah.
I can't do it.
So there's no room, like nobody's at this motel. Like she's the
Mm.
first guest they probably had in ages.
So there's nothing around.
No.
in
No.
this hotel. Motel.
Except behind the hotel, looming mansion.
Yeah, it's
Very
where they
creepy
live.
house.
Okay, they're home.
Their big home,
Mhm.
which is this like gothic home that they
Yes.
have in the back.
And is that that's like a set? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's superimposed on there.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Was the original filmed in a sound studio?
yes,
Okay, that was my question.
yes. It was filmed in this sound studio. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And so she checks in, and she says she's a bit hungry. And yeah, and the closest place diner is like, I don't know, 10 kilometers or something like.
Exact same in the
Yeah,
90s.
yeah. So he says, well, you know what? I'll have you up to the house and I'll make you something.
He's a little smitten.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah.
Like, she is so cute.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, hey.
Well, this is Janet Leigh. Like, you know, this is.
She
Or
is-
Anne Heche, depending on which film you watched. Both beautiful women.
And this is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Mm.
Lee Curtis.
Oh.
Who's Curtis?
The father.
But isn't wait
No one is.
Janet Leigh is like Leij,
Yes.
right? But she's Janet Lee. Yeah,
Yes. But yes. mother
not
and daughter.
Janet. Sorry, Jamie.
Yes,
Jamie
Jamie
Lee.
Lee.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I said Janet, right? Did I say Janet Lee?
Janet
Yeah,
Lee
Jamie
Curtis, not
yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
This is getting really wordy.
Yeah. Wait, am I getting drunk? Anywho, he invites her to the house. He hasn't talked to a woman other than his mother in ages.
What?
Exactly.
So he brings her up. She unpacks. Then she hears a fight between him and his mother.
Because he opened the window.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
only did she unpack,
Yeah.
he brought her bags into the room, gave her a tour of the
Yes.
single room, and opened the windows for her like a creep would.
Or
Wait,
a gentleman.
Or a gentleman.
Is
like
that-
it's like service. Like he's like helping her with her bags. He's like being like,
If
here's what
I
you need to
showed
know.
up
Like
at the Holiday Inn and someone was like, let me
but it's-
walk you through the 5
but
amenities
this
we
is
have.
a family run
Okay,
business.
you know
But
what?
I feel like-
I
okay,
do
but-
disagree
okay.
with you.
If you showed up, if you showed up and so what's the actor's name again?
Which one?
Sorry, the 60s.
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, Janet Leigh?
No, the
Can we
the
just
actor,
say
Norman Bates.
Bates?
Oh,
Can we just
yes.
say
Norman Bates is played by Anthony Perkins.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you showed up and Anthony Perkins in his prime invited you into the hotel,
Can I
or
Google?
Vince Vaughn in his prime.
I mean, I'd let it happen, but like it's still weird that he did it.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's not a
but
me
which
problem.
is creepier, Vince Vaughn doing
forget his
it
name.
or Anthony Perkins?
I mean, they're both
That
cute.
was it.
It's like, okay, fine.
No, I never got the Vince Vaughn thing.
Really?
Yeah,
He's so tall.
I guess so. He's a very
He's
tall
so
man.
tall
That's
and
stupid.
funny.
Um,
Honestly, I don't think I would let
No,
this happen.
never Vince Vaughn.
I'm looking at this Perkins.
Anthony Perkins is great, and
He's
and
cute.
and he is he's
Well, not in that picture.
oh, but he's so good in this part.
That's
There's
a
not a-
spoiler right there.
Yeah, put
Yeah.
that down. Put that down.
Yeah,
I'm
Put it
looking
away.
up
throw
Vince
your phone
Vaughn.
away.
Yeah, throw your phone out. Throw it in the garbage.
Excuse me.
Put it in the shower.
So she hears a fight between him and his mother. And she's just being like, she's a hussy and she's not coming, this is the girlfriend you're bringing up here and what are you going to do? Like, she's like this, like, clingy mother who's, yeah. And so this hussy, she's not. So anyways,
Hussy.
It's like every guy that
Does she
still
not-
lives
oh.
with his mom's mom.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean? Like when you're
some-
30 and you're dating and you're like, let's go over to his house. And he's like, well, one thing, my mom's in the next room. And it's the same.
yeah.
Eh.
Yeah. And so he comes down and he brings down sandwiches and milk and he's just like, we'll eat in the
Weird
office.
combo.
Yeah. Well, this is the
Milk?
thing. I feel like serial killers are all about the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's like I feel
back
like you
Well,
have
no,
to
at
kind
I
of
think he
no,
forgot it
back-
wasn't
that-
Christmas,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh shit, it's not for Santa.
Yeah.
It's not
I'm
a lot
getting a
of
sandwich."
Actually, speaking of Christmas, let's take it back to the beginning of the film just
Oh,
quickly.
yeah.
Is it
just
Christmas?
quickly.
Is this a Christmas movie?
It is not a Christmas movie.
Early
but the thing-
December.
but it's what happens is like they've put it's supposed to be later, but like there's Christmas decorations in one of the windows and like one of these pan shots. Instead of being like, oh, we have to shoot it again, they just were like, it's December 11th. So like at the beginning of the movie, it's just like Psycho, December 11th.
I like it.
Like,
I like
which
it.
is like information that's like not
Who
needed
cares?
Yeah, you don't
for
need it.
anything
Relevant.
other than like if you catch that there's like Christmas decoration, you're like, oh, okay, well.
That's why. Well, it's
So-
They
December 11th.
kept that for the 90s version, and not one ornament was seen. I will tell.
They
Like,
just
not
said
just
one
December
said-
ornament.
11th.
So,
Yeah.
Because they probably thought it was way more important.
yeah, maybe they thought it was more
yeah,
important.
maybe.
right?
Maybe they
Probably
were
were
like,
just
this
like,
is a
the date-
birthday.
Ah.
Well, I mean,
Super important.
it could be important if you are like, especially because a movie like that.
Ah!
I'm so sorry.
The ghost
Excuse
came
me,
back.
Pardon me. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, we're
Oh,
back.
it's
It's
the
called
feedback from the
interference.
headphones. I'm an audio guy.
I know things. I go to
Um,
film school. How many times can I drop it?
No,
this
but
episode?
that could
many
make
as you
sense,
want.
I don't-
like putting the date, because if you're creating a mythos around a character over
Yeah.
so many
Good
years, you're like, well,
word.
it has to be December 11th. That this
True.
this movie takes place
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time because
Yeah.
you know.
And it's important that it's like summer states. Like it's like Arizona and LA
Yeah.
and California. So it's like, why else would you know or care?
Yeah.
Because it's just
Mhm.
always summer.
So, yeah, fast forward.
So they have the
And we're back.
argument.
Milk.
Oh yeah, and they brought milk.
Milk.
What
Yeah.
kind of sandwiches?
They never say.
What kind
Looked
of
like
bread though?
beef.
Oh, it's white bread. It's
just like
it's
white.
like yeah,
I was
sliced
thinking like
white
a
bread.
nice
Some-
baguette.
Mm-mm.
I was hoping
No,
like
no,
a
no,
pumpernickel
no.
This
with
is,
a
this
dip.
is like this is
They don't get out a lot.
yeah.
This is like they
white
pick
bread.
up their weekly Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sit down and have a conversation, and he apologizes for his
The
mother,
fight.
his fight.
Yeah.
You know, because mother's ill. Mother's
Okay.
She
mother's
is.
a bit
Yeah.
ill.
She's sick.
and you know,
Creepy.
and then
I mean, is it creepy that she's ill? or
It's
is it just
weird.
like you
He's
guys-
like, she's an invalid.
yeah,
And like it's weird that
it's
you
like
said
she
it that
doesn't
way.
mean, you know, I love her. She doesn't mean what she says because she's just not right up in
Mhm.
the head.
And the fight was
Oh, I
like,
thought you meant like she's just sick.
No,
no,
like
like
she's ill,
she's
like ill,
fucked.
and like because yeah,
She hasn't got the shits.
Gotcha.
She's yeah.
Gotcha.
she's got
Yeah.
something's not right.
the shits of the brain.
And it's and because it's just
Yeah.
them,
The worst.
and it's just them, and he reveals that like, you know, his father left, and and then eventually his stepfather dies, and so that it's just been them, and like after the
there's more
stepfather
to
di-
that.
there is more to that, but like we'll get
But
there.
the stepfather died
Yes,
in a
Comically.
fucked way. Weird,
yes, but
weirdly.
but he doesn't talk about it at the beginning.
No, he
That's
just says
something
like he
that's
said he
revealed.
died young.
Yeah, but basically in that moment, his mother kind of loses it a bit.
Yeah, that's what triggered her to like snap. Was that he
and
died?
Yeah, and so he takes care of her, and like, and of course, Marion Crane is just like, well, why don't you just like get out of here, like, you know, go be
Yeah.
free, which upsets him.
Iconic conversation.
Yes, this is a very important conversation, and it has some of the very important lines about, you know, like a mother's is a boy's
Wait,
best friend.
The
like-
whole thing. She's like, "Well, don't you get out much? Don't you have any friends?"
I know this quote.
Yeah, and he's
and
like,
then-
I
"Well,
can't think of from where.
a boy's best friend is his mother."
Oh,
yeah.
I know where it's from.
Psycho.
Yeah.
No. It's
from
from some
Family
weird
Guy.
song. It's actually from a song. What
There
song?
is a remake of a song.
Is it
Okay, I
a
have it in my phone.
Bastille song? I
Yes,
swear to
it
God.
is. It is. It is.
Yeah.
There's they play
Yes.
that entire conversation. He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, a boy's best friend is his mother."
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally okay.
It is in the
And
best
also,
I know.
also the
Yeah.
line
Let me hear
of, you know, she goes a little mad sometimes,
Mm.
but we all go a little mad sometimes, which is just,
Isn't that
That's a
just
classic.
the truth?
oof, we just go a little mad sometimes, which is just like such.
Same.
That's the thing,
Mm.
and so.
Mm.
The conversation starts light, but it builds into kind of there's a tension because like she suggests he should leave and just leave his mother behind, which he's just like, you city slickers, like what the hell do you know?
Mhm.
And then
The
anyways,
fire will
like,
go out,
yeah.
and then she'll be cold. And if you love somebody, you'd never do that to them.
But what's important,
I've
think I
heard
have
the
the tone,
conversation.
right? Do I
Oh
have
yeah,
the
no,
tone?
for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
what's important in
You
the
do.
conversation though is that Marion Crane in this conversation realizes that like she's made a huge mistake in stealing the $40,000 and running away, and she's just like this guy's stuck. This is like a prison for him. I don't want to be in prison. I have to go back
Mm.
and fix this. So in this conversation, like, that's what happens. So she's just like, tomorrow.
So this is like a lighthearted, inspirational romance movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rom-com.
So she decides she's going to go home. She's made a new friend and she's going to go home and make things right. But first,
And she does. The end.
but first, a shower.
She's got to
No.
clean all that bad
I want
energy.
now. I
Bad
want
energy.
to now.
She
This
gets
is
some
like something that
sage.
I've been wanting to talk about about this film on this podcast. Is that this is the first time in American film history that a toilet is shot in a scene, and the first time that a toilet is flushed.
Shut up.
What?
In the first time in American history, this movie
What?
is rated
Ever.
R.
Because
Well, actually,
Shut up.
actually, this movie became rated R in 1986, which is a crazy
Oh.
thing because like
Weird.
they just like started putting ratings on older movies. But anyways, this was like a scene like nobody had flushed a toilet. No one talks about toilets. Nobody pees. Nobody poos. Nobody sleeps in the same bed. Babies come from storks. And like Alfred Hitchcock was just like, we're gonna fucking
We're gonna flush that
toilet.
I love it.
Yeah. So anyways,
Pioneer.
What?
yes,
A
this is
pioneer.
yeah, a
He's a
pioneer.
pioneer.
Yes. Oh my
So,
god.
Yeah. So like this was like risque.
Now what does this bad boy look like? What is
The
this bad-
toilet.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a
Is it
classic.
porcelain?
It's a porcelain
Porcelain
toilet.
white.
Ooh, white.
We assume.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's black and white.
Wow.
Yeah.
It could be a
Yeah.
bit-
Could have been a light
Could
green.
be
Yeah.
bright, paint
Yeah.
green.
A
you know,
salmon.
like-
Who knows?
Yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to say that because
That's
I
fascinating.
absolutely
Okay.
love that fact.
Well,
For
I should
real,
have made the
though.
drink a toilet.
Yeah.
bowl instead.
How
Such a missed
iconic.
opportunity.
Speaking of toilet, do we take breaks?
We do. Well, let's
We
get
don't.
through this scene.
Let's
and
get
then
through
Act
movie.
one.
That's Act 1.
Okay, so she's gets into the shower.
First mistake.
Yeah, yeah, cleaning yourself
Stay dirty.
after being in a car for like a couple days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, this
Oh, does he? Question from 98.
From 98
Does
over
he
here.
jerk off in the original?
no, see I hate that.
Same.
I hate that because
Especially
it's
because
too
you
much.
hear the noise.
It's too much,
And
and,
that-
it gives
Look,
grosses
they
me
just
out.
showed
Yeah.
a toilet. They're not going to show him jerking
no,
off.
and it gives
No,
too
but you
much
don't
away.
Yeah,
see
true.
it.
Yeah.
True.
There's a weird profile shot of Vince Vaughn in the 98 one. And it, like, as somebody who works on films, if I was watching the monitor in that moment where he's staring through the wall hole
Mhm.
into Anne Heche's bedroom, and, like, obviously the sound's not happening, like, while he's filming it. And so, they're just like, all right, Vince, we're going to run this as a series right now.
Mhm.
So if you could just stand there for a second and just get really into it. Get really into it. It's like you're watching her. It's like you're watching her. And, like, he's standing there like, I can't. Visual. It's just watch the movie.
But no, see, that's-
it's weird. And
and
they
that's-
added in the post sound effect of him like jerking off while he's watching her. And that's the one. That's too much.
That is the sound effect.
It's like Beetlejuice or something.
no, but here's the thing. That's
But it's this creepy little like.
But it's too and it's
And
too
I
much.
hate it.
And it's too much because the
It
thing
is.
is with the Anthony Perkins performance
There's an
as Norman
innocence.
Bates, he's a kid.
Mhm.
He's a man, but he's intellectually kind of a child because he's
Mhm.
always been with mother.
Yeah.
And so so to have that sort of
Vince Vaughn's jerking
Yeah,
in
well,
the
the
dark
thing
with
is
all his
it
fucking
get-
taxidermies. We didn't
yeah.
talk about those.
gives it away too much.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Oh.
she's in the shower. And all of a sudden, yeah, I'm chopping with my hands.
It on the
Getting
sun.
real
All of a
into
sudden,
it.
you see
Dip.
the shadow. And you can't see exactly who it is.
No.
But it is of a woman.
Yeah. There's hair.
There's
Long
hair. There's a hair. There's the dress and stuff like that. And the classic pulling of the and then
Nice sound.
Mhm.
and then the foley of stabbing into a melon.
Is that what they used?
Yeah, they used a
Yeah,
melon to
nice.
stab, and it's just 70 shots for a 45-second bit
Is it actually?
filmed over a
Oh,
week.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
filmed
lot.
over a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
you serious?
yeah. I think
No,
it was
that's a
7
lot.
days. I think it was
The
7
toilet
days.
was 2 of those
Stop
days,
it.
right?
I think it was
God.
filmed over
Does it go
7
left
days.
or right when it flushes?
Because there's a bunch. Yeah, I think they say it was filmed over 7 days because they say that like they had to keep the water warm for her and like keep her comfortable
Wow.
and like because there's all these rumors that like they're like they poured cold water on her to give her like the shock, but they're like no, we never did that. We kept her comfortable because it was like
Because
You're naked
Hitchcock
in
is not
shower.
Kubrick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is slashing and dashing and stabbing, but you never actually see the knife ever go in.
Mhm.
It's just
So they did like an eighth of a page in a week?
it is
If I saw
the
that-
scene.
It is.
It is
true.
that scene.
It is that scene. And
If I saw that
I'm
on my
over-
schedule, I'd be like, what a great pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And maybe I'm
I'm
over
in.
exaggerating. Maybe I'm overshooting with a week. I feel like I read it was a week at some point, but like it was a big shoot, and and then that leads to the person running away, and
The murderer.
the murder running away, and Marion Crane dying in the shower, where
She's fucking dead.
where the blood circles down the drain,
Mhm.
and the camera
Mhm.
zooms in onto her eye, and the blood was chocolate syrup.
Ooh.
Oh,
Which
Nice.
shows
it
up really
looked
well.
syrupy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it shows up really well in black
Yeah.
and white, and it's
Neat.
it has the right kind of
It
consistency.
also kind of, because I do know the scene, it also looked like it came right out of the bottle in that, you know,
Probably.
like it does look like drip,
Yeah.
drip, drip.
They just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a
Doesn't
PA
look
standing
like-
over the
Yeah,
tub,
yeah.
like, squeeze it harder.
Yeah.
Some Nesquik.
And yes, so that's the shower scene, and then all of a sudden, it goes to pans to the house, and you just hear, "Mother, no! What did you do, Mother?" And he runs down, and he discovers the body in the
Mhm.
bathtub. Norman Bates.
So she killed him. Her.
The mom.
She killed
Mother
him,
killed.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mother kills.
100% mother killed.
100%.
100%
and
mother
so
killed
he
Janet
so he proceeds to.
Wait a second, though.
Mm.
In the other version,
98?
he's watching her.
Well, he jerks off and then
Well, in
she
this,
gets
no,
in
in
the
the
shower.
in the
And where
60s, he
it's
watches
same
her
murder.
too, right?
In the 60s, he watches her too, but he doesn't like.
Jerk off.
So
Yeah.
these are different scenes. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, and it's different
Yeah.
times.
Well, they
he-
were like, we
he was
broke
watching her-
boundaries in the 60s
Yeah.
with the toilet, and
Yeah.
in the 90s, we're going to break boundaries with our dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he doesn't watch her in the shower. He doesn't watch her in the shower.
No,
Okay, that's-
same with
yeah.
the 90s. He
Gotcha.
just watches her get undressed.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
And then she sits and makes
In
a
the
note of it.
90s,
She does math.
he's jerking off. In the 60s,
Yeah.
it's like ankle. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like
A little bit of-
he's just like flicking his finger.
Yeah, he's like,
I don't like
So, ooh, this is nice.
undoing his tie. Like,
Cuticles. Anyways,
yeah. Well,
then- yes.
yeah.
Then he hides the body. He wraps it up in the shower curtain.
Mhm.
He puts it into the car. Her new car.
Oh, her money. That's a detail.
And yes.
the money was put
yes,
into a newspaper.
Yes, and he throws that with her. So the $40,000.
Oh, in the
yes, Marion
98 version, he keeps it, doesn't he?
Crane. Oh, I don't know, but in this one, he doesn't even know about the money.
That a hot tub room.
Yeah, so so the $40,000, her luggage, her body gets put into the trunk of her own car, and he pushes the car into
Yeah.
a swamp,
Yeah.
which is
Same.
also a magnificent scene because it starts to sink. It's sinking, it's sinking,
then-
it's sinking, and then it stops, and you can see because Norman Bates is now like covering up for his mother's murder,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, like the car is no longer sinking, and he's just like, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do?"
Like,
and
how
then
am I going to sink this fucking
then the
car?
car continues to sink, and then
He's
drifts.
good.
Lucky
What a scary
boy.
moment, that
Yeah.
tension.
And this is 20 minutes into the film, and they've killed the star.
The
Right,
star.
Yeah.
So you've been following Janet Leigh, you've been following this
Mhm.
Marion Crane character, and it's just like, this is her story. This is like her journey. And bam, she gets murdered 20 minutes into the film.
You know, I didn't even realize that because I thought like Scream was the first movie to kind of do that.
Ooh, the first
well,
kill.
no, well, of course, like Scream would have taken that
Yeah,
from
from
Psycho.
this cycle. Yeah.
And that idea of just being like, let's follow a big name star, and
Mhm.
everybody's just like, we're invested in this person, and then be like, nope, we murdered them.
Damn.
Yeah.
And now we're with Norman Bates. Now,
Mhm.
Marion Crane's sister is like, where the hell, Kazoo Night, where the hell is my sister?
Who played her in the 60s version?
In the 60s version, it is Vera Miles.
Well, let me tell you, it was Julianne Moore in the 90s. Because what a cast! My God.
Yeah.
Incredible cast. Terrible
I mean,
movie.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
But he was
Julianne
so
Moore, that
good in
seems like
it.
she's slumming it for this movie. But,
You wouldn't, but like, she also did Jurassic Park 3 a year
oh,
later.
that's true.
You know? Was it me?
Oh,
No.
I don't know.
It was the ghost.
You guys have to walk me to my car later. I'm serious. I'm not.
Don't worry. We know how to investigate.
Please
shadows.
do not fucking look in my car. Please don't. I don't want you guys saying shit so that I have to drive home with a haunted car. Okay, it is used. Thank you. Who knows?
Yeah, just.
Just like in Psycho?
I just wanted to say,
Is that-
just look in the backseat.
Like how in
Just-
Psycho? Yeah, don't look in the backseat. Or
Or do
look in the backseat.
Always look in the backseat.
Always look in the backseat.
You have to. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's how
Somebody could've-
murderers happen.
I just unlocked the door. Like, I just unlocked it. There's definitely no one there, but gotta check.
So Marion Crane's sister, Leela Crane, is now looking for her sister. At the same time, a private detective is on the lookout for the $40,000 and where she is with that.
Played by who in the 60s?
Played by Martin Balsam.
Because let me hit you with this: William H. Macy
Yeah.
in the
Wow.
90s.
Yeah.
What a cast!
Yeah, so
What a
Milton,
cast.
Detective Albregast is on the trail, and her sister is on the trail. Her sister goes to the boyfriend, the guy at the beginning who they're having the affair with.
Yeah, I thought they were running away together.
No, he had to go home. Like he lives in like a different.
My mom wants me to go
he's just
home.
like, I have to go home now.
He's like,
Thank you-
sorry.
thank you for the lunchtime sex. I have to go home now.
I gotta just
So
go
no,
think
he
about
lives.
some stuff.
He lives in another state.
Yeah, that's where she's going though.
Yeah,
she's
so
going
that's
to
why
see him.
she's heading across country.
He's
to,
in California.
Yeah.
She's in Arizona. Are
Yeah.
they attached?
Yeah,
I don't know America.
I don't know. It's a drive.
I don't.
They
It's
are.
a
They
drive.
are.
It's a bit
They're
of a
side
drive.
by side.
Yes.
Are they
okay,
really?
Okay, so
I think it's California and
Nevada's
then Arizona and
there.
Nevada
Yeah,
are kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
attached.
And
to it.
Arizona's there's a big hole. There's a famous
There's
one. What's
nothing
the big
there.
hole?
Are you talking about the
Grand
Grand
Canyon?
Canyon?
Yeah, that's the one. The big hole. They all have a road that goes to the big hole. They all have a road.
Okay. Anyways. So yes.
Y'all want to laugh at me, okay? For Steven Spielberg, come on. That's like
That's a big
general
hole.
knowledge
It's a big hole, but not
versus
really a
movie
big
buff
hole.
knowledge. Okay.
A big
So
crack.
yeah, so she was traveling
I
cross
know.
country to get to him. He didn't know she was coming to meet him. Like he had no idea that she had stole $40,000 and was coming to like elope.
No phones.
No, there's no phones. No,
Not on the
even
road.
in the '98 version.
She couldn't even like Venmo him the $40,000.
No
No.
opportunity for any transfer.
So, the detective, the sister, they're looking for her. How do I keep it all organized in my brain?
Well, because this is where it gets tough.
Yeah. Okay. So
There's like 8 storylines at once.
So the sister,
Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore, but Vera Miles in this movie, confronts the boyfriend. She knows about the boyfriend. Confronts him and says, "Is she here? Have you seen her? I'm looking for her. She's been missing for days. Where is she? If she's here, just tell me and I'll leave you be, but just let me know where she is." And he's just like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. She's not here. She didn't say she was coming here. Like, I have no idea where she is." Meanwhile, the detective shows up.
At the
At the same
exact
time?
same
In
time.
Yeah, and he's
Kismet.
just
Who's
because
the
because he's been
detective?
the detective.
He was hired by the parents. And the
No.
sister was hired by herself.
Has it? How long
Yeah,
has
the
it
detective.
been?
The detective is
A week.
Okay.
The
I was
detective
like,
has
the
been
next day.
hired by the guy who lost the $40,000.
Oh.
Right. Oh, because this is later a thing. Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
'cause,
he
like,
was hired
yes,
by the
because,
money
like,
guy.
Because
Because,
money
like,
is
he's
more
a-
important
yeah.
than a
Than
young woman's
family.
life
yeah.
Well,
in
but
the
at this,
60s
but,
and now.
but
All
in
the
this
time.
moment, this woman has stolen $40,000.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're out to find her because like that she's
on the
committed
run.
a crime. why a private detective and not like a official? I
They
feel like
didn't want to tell the cops because they were like, oh, if we tell the cops, then she's going to get arrested, but we want to give her the opportunity
right.
to come forward because she's worked for this guy for 10 years.
Yes. So
like,
Wow.
and she's a nice woman. Like,
So-
she's just
That's
a
a
sweet,
really great
innocent,
employer.
delicate
yeah,
girl.
he was a good boss. He was a good boss.
Nice guy.
Um,
Really nice guy.
So, the detective confronts them and says, like, I know she's in this. As the sail,
It's a tub.
the tub goes
is a
by.
tub.
The tub goes by.
Nothing weird.
Sorry, just let me pull this curtain back a little bit for me to get a snap.
Stop.
One quick stop.
So,
I'll just throw a clock. Stop. I wish we had more. There we go.
Yeah.
some, what is it called when you like chew in someone's ear?
Mouthfeel. Oh no.
Mouthfeel.
ASMR.
That's a good mouthfeel.
Okay, but I love
It's a
that.
fruit forward drink.
Mouthfeel channel.
It's a really fruit forward beverage. Great mouthfeel.
So the detective confronts them and says, I feel like she's in this town.
He's
and I'm,
wrong.
And I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna find her. And I can't remember how guys, you're distracting me. This is really difficult.
Who's
to like
distracting whom, Rob?
because he ends up at this detective. Okay. He's just like, you two, you stay here. You don't go anywhere.
Chill out.
You stay here. I've got my eyes on you. I'm gonna find her. I'll let you know if I find her. And so he says, I'll give you a call.
Word for word.
Word for word. I'll give you a call. You stir her. And then he goes and he ends up at the Bates Motel.
Because all
How does he just
day,
end up there?
he goes
How
to
does he end up-
every hotel in town.
Yes,
Because
yes,
it's a
that's
small
it.
town. And he's like, hey, Comfort Inn, seen this girl? They're like, no. And he's like, hey.
Howard
Hilton?
Johnson.
Exactly. Every chain you can imagine. And then he finally
Super
goes,
8.
Is there a montage?
there is. In the 90s,
Excuse
there
me?
is.
No, not in this one.
Oh,
The
he just-
90s is a montage.
Yeah, oh, there's a
of
90s
course.
montage.
No,
yeah.
he just shows up and I don't think there's a montage. I think he just shows up and says,
Maybe,
I've done all this.
maybe
he
the
just,
point-
He just says it's like, I've been to a bunch of...
Yeah.
He's like, I've been to the
Motel.
Tate's
Tired.
Motel, the Late's Motel. I should have started with A's and
Yeah,
B's
Super
first.
8's Motel.
Yeah.
Maybe the point of the 90s version was Gus Van Sant, director extraordinaire, Good Will Hunting, hello, when I have an issue with 1960s Psycho, we didn't see him go to any other hotel. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah.
And
That's
so he
the
went,
problem.
let me put a montage
Because
in.
there's a problem
Yeah.
with the
Makes sense.
1960s
Yeah.
Psycho.
Yeah. Well,
He was out to fix it.
I don't know. Gus, you tell
Why not?
us.
Do a remake.
It's got too many toilets.
Yeah. Too many toilets, not enough hotels.
Oh.
So, but in the 90s version, he went to like fucking 50 hotels. And then he showed up at the Bates Motel. And let me tell you, a problem I spotted was he showed up during the day, left at night. 5-minute scene. Put my lip gloss on.
I don't know why you're so smug about that fact.
Because it bothers me.
Anyways, so he gets to the Bates Motel. He discovers that Marion Crane was there, but she left.
Fake name signed into the book.
Yes,
It was there was
Oh?
an inquisition. He chats with Norman.
Yeah.
Big conversation. He's like, hey, has anybody signed into this hotel? He's like, not for the last 2 weeks. And they keep having a conversation, all casual. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm Norman Bates. For sure, there was somebody that signed in last week who said something like that. And the detective goes, oh, funny that you say that. Last week, huh? Because you said nobody's been here for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
then
It
Norman
becomes- yeah.
starts to fucking sweat.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Norman Bates starts to like
you.
stumble on what he's saying. The facts start to get.
And then
a
he's
little
like,
skewed.
look at the picture, Norman. And he's like, nobody's been here. And he just looks everywhere but the picture. And then he's like, why don't you look at the picture? And he looks at it and he goes,
Now this is of course the '98 version.
no, this wasn't in the 60s
I
one.
don't think there's a picture. He just talks
Because
to
he
him.
goes, he looks at the picture and he goes, wait, quick flash. He goes, look away, look away. And he goes, no, I haven't seen her. And then they keep going. He's like, well, maybe her hair was different. He looks again. He goes, yeah, it was raining. It was different. It's the girl.
Anyways,
So what happens in that other
Okay.
version, though?
Yeah, what happens in the real
well,
one?
basically,
The
it's
real
along.
one.
It's
That was the
along
fake
those.
one.
I think it's along those
there's no
lines. It's just
picture.
no picture.
No, but true.
At least not that I remember. Anyways, what Norman Bates does drop is that Marion, he just for whatever lies that Marion Crane met with his mother.
Right.
He says they met each other, and he's just like, the detective's like, well, can I meet the mother? Oh no, you can't meet her. You know, she's very ill and that sort of thing. He's just like, oh, like,
She's an invalid.
yeah, I just no, just let me talk to her. And he's just like, no, you know what? I actually I'm done talking to you. I want you to just leave. So he leaves, and I'm making quotation marks with my finger,
I feel
quote
like you're
unquote.
doing them wrong. They're too wavy.
We should
No, you don't
create
do
a sound
it.
for that.
You don't do it with this much
should-
flair.
We should create a sound for that. Maybe you go like.
Ew.
That's the official podcast sound of quotation marks.
Yeah,
I think mine would go like, wee wow, wee wow.
it depends on how fast. Because like I'm going. So, anyways, he decides to go up to the house. He decides to go up to the house and sneak in and meet the mother.
Okay.
So he comes in and he's in this gothic house, this old, dusty old house.
Lovely woodwork.
And lovely woodwork. It's beautiful, but it's creepy and it's, yeah, it's old.
It's really nice though.
He's
I live there.
slowly working his way. The detective is slowly working his way up the staircase.
How'd he get in?
Through
Just opened it.
The
door's
front door is
open.
unlocked. The front door's unlocked. It's 1960s.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. He's slow.
Even murderers leave the doors open.
Yeah,
Because they're
he's-
murderers.
They got nothing to
they're
fear.
gonna
Yeah.
murder you. So he's
What is going on?
he's slowly. It's Ghost.
Yeah.
It's Ghost.
It's Ghost. Ghost.
Starring Whoopi Goldberg.
I also don't know this reference.
Oh, you
Oh, we gotta add that to the list. That's not on the list.
You're
Is
welcome.
Ghost the one with the clay?
Yes.
Yes.
We gotta,
So you know images.
I know some.
You've
things.
seen some shit.
I've seen some
Yeah.
Family Guy. Yeah, so I don't know
All
why
right,
that's so
we gotta
funny every
add that to the
time.
list.
it's Family Guy.
I'm a child.
So he's slowly working his way up the staircase. And all of a sudden, out of the mother's bedroom comes the mother. And she... and she slashes the detective in the face. And there's this beautiful shot of him falling backwards down the staircase. And the camera's following him down. And it's just like this stumbling, running sort of shot.
How did they do it? I still wonder. I love it.
It's a great shot. I don't know. I'm sure I can't. I don't know how they did it.
I haven't thought it through fully, but I love it every
Oh,
time.
it's
They
so good,
pushed
but
him
you
down
just
the
hear.
stairs and they
But it's
killed the man.
basically him running, falling backwards, but kind of running backwards down the stairs. And it's just like and you can hear like the of the person chasing
Yeah.
him, and his face has been slashed, and he hits the floor, and then the mother gets on top of him, and you see the knife in the air, and then yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
So now
all
the
over
detective
that.
is
Why
dead.
does
And
she
do we
kill
see
so
the
many
mother?
people?
She's fucked.
Yeah.
I wanna
So
know.
Do we
We'll
see
get
the
there.
mother?
Oh, nice.
Do we like see?
no, we
You
have not
see,
seen the
like-
mother's face.
You
Okay.
see her hair. You see her.
What's her hair look like? What does she wear?
Blonde in the 90s. I think it's both. I think she's got like blonde hair.
Well, like yeah, it's like
Pink
blonde-ish, but it's
robe.
black and white, so like it's like a
Probably
gray,
gray hair.
like brown sort of
Probably.
thing.
I think, but there's a colorized
Yeah.
version of the 90s or the 60s one.
There
where
is.
there's like I think she's wearing like a gray wig or a blonde wig. I can't remember.
She is wearing a wig though.
blonde.
They thought it was
I don't know.
important for her to
Well,
have a
because
wig.
she's old as fuck, right? So they're like, poor,
did she
poor
get- how did
woman.
she-
Ignore what we
Kill.
said about the wig. we haven't
But they're
gotten there
like,
yet.
poor woman. She's
Oh my
probably
God, is
losing
it a
her hair.
man?
No, it's not. It's not. It's the mom.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Shh.
I don't think it is.
So
I
now
don't
the
know why everyone's
detective.
drawing attention to this.
Now the detective's dead.
So dead.
He's dead.
He is so dead. And so,
So dead.
meanwhile, the boyfriend and the sister are just waiting at the hardware store, going, "Well, he said he was going to call."
They literally wait like 12 12 hours. And they're like, well, but he said he
And then eventually they're just like, okay, enough's enough. We're going to go to the sheriff. We're going to go to the sheriff and be like, look, like, we're looking for this person. We don't know where they are. This detective was supposed to get in touch with us. He hasn't gotten in touch with us. Can you please look into this Bates, like, oh, he does call.
Yeah.
He calls and says, I'm going to double check this Bates motel. I have a feeling.
The sheriff.
No,
the detective.
The detective, he calls at them at one point and says, I'm going to look back
No,
into...
because the detective's dead.
No, but
It
he
was
does before.
I'm lost.
No, sorry, I just missed this part. He does call them and says, "I have a feeling about this place. I'm gonna double check."
He mentions the mother.
So
he goes, "I'm gonna go talk to the mother."
So now
Ooh, my knuckles.
They
So
still
now-
wait 12 hours though.
So now,
they
basically
wait
stand by.
for friggin' ever, and they're like, "Oh, we should do something."
So now the sister and the boyfriend are like, okay, we have this information. We have to just figure this out. So they go to the sheriff and they're like, look, the sheriff's the detective went to go talk to the mother and so on and so forth, and the sheriff's just like, that's impossible.
He was so sure.
Yeah, that's impossible. It's just like, no, they talked to the mother, and it's just like, Norman Bates' mother's been dead for 10 years.
Oh.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Knew it
What a
because
twist.
it's just him.
Yeah.
Knew it.
Yeah.
I know what's happening.
Yeah, 10 years she's been dead.
But they also make a point to say, if she's not dead, then who did we bury?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe she's still alive.
Maybe she's still
Bitches.
alive.
So
They go, who did we bury?
So, the boyfriend and the sister decide to go to the Bates Motel and do some investigating by themselves and do
What a
some
bunch of
Detective is
fuckheads.
missing
do
as
some
fuck.
investigating themselves. And so they check into a room, and the plan is basically that the boyfriend will distract Norman Bates while the sister sneaks into the house.
I'm excited.
Oh god, oh man, I forgot. There's so many details. I hate missing these things, but I don't want to give all the stuff away.
Give it away.
You have to.
Give it away.
Okay.
Give it away.
So-
Give it away.
Give it away now.
But
No,
this
stop.
is
We have to pay for that.
But this is like
I mean,
this is so much further back, and I've already given away the one
what
thing.
part?
He after the second murder, after the murder of the detective, Norman Bates takes his mother and puts her
puts her in
into
the basement.
puts her in the fruit cellar.
And you see him carry her down the stairs. And they have this big argument
Yeah.
where she's
She's
like,
just
don't put me down there again. And he's
yeah,
like,
I
Ma,
bet
I gotta
I-
put you down in the basement. I don't know why they're from New York.
Yeah.
But he's like,
Mom, I gotta
Ma,
put you down in the basement.
I gotta put
Look.
you in the basement.
Yeah, you've
people are
killed-
fucking pissed.
You've killed
you
two people.
And
Yeah, you know,
she's like,
there's
"Don't
blood
put me in the
everywhere.
basement. Norman. Not the fruit cellar again.
Anyways,
They
so-
take her down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So jumping back
Yeah,
ahead.
but he carries her like this, like a baby.
Like
yeah,
a baby.
like a baby.
Like a little baby.
Like a little
She goes,
baby.
Norman, no.
Maja is now in the basement.
Basement.
Yeah, in the fruit cellar.
The fruit cellar. Not the fruit cellar.
cellar.
She better say that line, or I swear to God.
Both versions, as she says.
Yeah, and like not again. Like she's been in the fruit cellar
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, she's like, don't do it again.
And so, anyways, now the sister is sneaking into the house. And while she's sneaking around the house, the boyfriend is interrogating. Oh no! This is in the squealing is interrogating Norman Bates, and basically just being like, you know,
Norman, what's up?
yeah, like just like he's just like he's
What
being
up,
like
bro?
he's being really aggressive,
What did
like
you do
and
today?
obvious, like just being like, I know something.
There's no chill.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is no chill. Like I know
But they just
something.
met.
He's like, that
Yeah.
guy was here. My girlfriend was
Yeah.
here. Like, what
Ev-
did you do? And Norman's like,
eventually-
Okay.
nothing.
Eventually, Norman Bates goes, "Oh shit, where's
My mom's in
that?
the
Where's
fruit
that?
cellar."
Yeah, like where's that woman that was with you?" And like he realizes that like he's being distracted.
Mm-hmm.
They get into a tussle. Norman Bates knocks out the boyfriend
Yikes.
and starts heading to the house.
How does he knock?
He
brick?
grabs a
stick
like
of sorts.
something off of like it's like a little statue sort of thing. Yeah,
I feel like
Classic.
from the 90s was a stick.
it's a stick. It was like some sort of like ornament, like kind of
Like a
statue.
candlestick.
He got him with
library.
something.
It was something. He
Yeah,
grabs it,
exactly.
knocks him out, and
Colonel
starts
Norman.
heading to the house. So now the sister's just like, oh shit, he's coming. So she decides to hide in the fruit cellar.
No.
Yeah. So she's down in the fruit cellar. She turns on the light, and there she sees the mother. Her back is to her.
Yikes.
She sees the mother, and she goes over.
Are
and-
there birds in the 60s one?
Excuse
No,
me.
there's no birds.
Lots of birds in mine.
Oh, that's weird.
Are you sure? You're not-
Unnecessary.
I know there's another movie.
That's gotta
They're
be
called-
like
But
a
there was
reference.
reasons. But
Yeah.
there was reasons because in the beginning
Were they crows?
he talked to many birds,
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's a taxidermist.
and he likes to taxidermy birds.
Yes, but there's no birds in the basement in the '60s version. So he goes
Tons in the 90s.
So she reaches over to turn the mother around in the chair, and then it's this classic shot. Oh my god,
Ugh,
the fruit
so
cellar
good.
shot. Mother turns around, she backs up, hits the light swings, and you just see this skeleton, like mummified mother face, and she screams.
Mom is fucking dead.
She screams
Mom
and then
effed.
swings around, turns around. There's Norman Bates wearing a dress, wearing the wig.
Excuse me. Who did he bring down the stairs?
The dead body of his mom.
And he
Dead mom.
who he dug up, and he is now wearing her clothing, wearing a wig. We're gonna get more into this, but he has the knife, and he's like, ah!
Remember how I ruined the wig thing? This is where it comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You really did.
Yeah, is the sound he makes, and he's just about to stab the sister when the boyfriend gets him and basically just like
Knocks him out.
knocks him out. We jump ahead now to the police station
Yes.
where
So that's it.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like,
Like
and now
they captured him. Just like
they
get
captured
him
him. Like they knock him
fucking
out,
quick.
and then like they get a
on.
hold of the police and
Hold
whatnot.
on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. You're
There's an
allowed.
argument
Give it.
that we hear earlier.
Yes.
There's no overlapping of voices, I imagine.
It's in his brain.
Okay, what?
No,
Well,
the
we'll
argument.
get
Well,
there.
okay.
Well,
Let me explain.
We'll
let me explain.
get there.
So basically he goes to the police station and they send in a psychiatrist to speak to him.
I'm pissed.
So the end of the movie
Wow.
is basically the psychiatrist coming to explain Norman Bates.
Start with exposition, end with exposition.
Yeah. Norman Bates killed his mother and his stepfather or lover and stuff. Strychnine.
Lover father.
Lover father. Strychnine. So he murdered.
Wait,
his,
they knew this already, or this is
No.
This is something.
This is new
okay.
info.
Okay. Let me. Okay.
Okay.
The psychiatrist comes back into the room and says, "I just had a conversation, not with Norman Bates, but with his mother."
Yeah.
So Norman Bates is now a split personality.
Yeah.
He is the son
Yep.
and he is the mother.
Yeah.
And now the mother has taken complete control. And so she talks about everything. So Norman Bates killed her and her lover with strychnine. And
What is that? What are you saying?
strychnine, it's like a poison.
Poison.
I know.
I mean, it's okay not to know that. Like,
I know.
It's just for us who are obsessed with murder.
Yeah, we're like,
We're like the weird ones in this.
Strychnine's a great way to kill.
It is a painful way to go.
Yeah, not nice.
No, it's a
Not nice.
hard way to go.
instead of a
Bad
Tech
day for
9.
mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like his music, but for murder.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not doing this like ending justice. Like it's
Well,
so
'cause
because
it's
there's so much.
fucking
There's so much.
intense.
So he basically explains that like after he killed his mother and the lover, to basically comfort himself, he realized he had made a mistake or like needed to like justify himself. So he dug up the body. He and brought the body back and tried to take care of this body.
Because he's a taxidermist.
Yeah, and realized
Oh.
realized that like also like okay, I need to make this more real. So he started to talk in her voice and started to do things that his mother would do, and would start dressing up as her, and like would sit in her chairs and would do the things, and created a universe for himself where him and his mother still existed in the same place. And so whenever he had like a sexual attraction, for example, for like Marion Crane, like there was an attraction, his mother came and stopped it, this overdearing mother. And so she did the murders. He didn't do the murders, the mother did the murders. So at the end of the film, this psychiatrist is basically explaining this to these cops. And of course, this is 1960s, so like at one point they're like, oh, why is she dressed up in a dress? And the one cop goes, transvestite.
Not in the 90s, which is progressive.
Yeah, which is progressive. And the psychiatrist goes, well, not exactly. So it's basically, yeah, so like he's not transvestite, we don't use that.
That's not a term.
It's not a term anymore. But it is the fact that he embodied his mother's thing. Being. And then we go into the jail cell where, oh yes, I want to say this one, where one of the police come into the room at one point and says, he's got a chill, can I give him a blanket? And so you just see from the hallway the cop go into the room with a blanket, and you just hear, thank you, dear.
Yes.
And so we then go into the room. It's Norman Bates covered in a blanket, and it's inner monologue, but in the voice of his mother, and just being like, you'd never hurt anyone, and like, you're good. And there's a fly. There's a fly that lands on his hand, and he says, you won't even hurt a fly.
Oh yeah.
And like he's
There's
just
a
the
fly
origin of
right
that.
there, but it wouldn't land on your. It wouldn't.
No, I don't think you. I don't know if that's the origin of that, but it's like
they're all watching you, Norman.
Yeah.
They're all watching you, and they're gonna say, "Oh, look at him! He wouldn't even hurt a fly."
Yeah. He wouldn't even hurt a fly. And that's the end of the movie.
Now, there's a visual thing too, isn't there? There's like a
there's a skeleton face kind of thing.
Big time.
Yeah, like there's like a
I wonder now, like, would
there's like an overlay of the mother's skeleton
over his face.
At that end shot.
Okay.
Would it be considered a psychopath to like in this day and age with terminal, like, or would he just be considered like
someone
schizophrenic, split personality? Like, would he be considered a psycho? This is
looked
like
up
a big
this
question
term.
for me.
I don't
Not
think
long
so
ago.
because
Right?
psychopath has no empathy.
No,
but he feels that.
But
right?
the
Like,
thing
he
is,
feels
A person
that
suffering
for
from chronic mental disorder with
Yes.
abnormal or violent social behavior. So yes,
Yeah.
he would
Right.
still be.
Okay, so
See,
he
the thing
would.
is, and it's also loosely mentioned that this isn't the first time he's killed.
No,
Because like at one point they're just like, have you, like the psychiatrist is like, have you ever had any other missing people? And they're like, oh, there's 2 women that are missing. And they're like, yeah, that's probably him. So like that he's killed before. And there are like stories of psychopaths or serial killers who kill but use mechanisms to deal with it in such a way where it's like another person is
almost
doing
like
the
they're-
murder,
they're-
like it's a detachment. And so this is like, so he's doing the murders, but he's justifying
He's like-
them, or he's distancing himself from the
Yeah.
violence with another character. And now this story, Psycho, is based on a book originally called Psycho, which is loosely based off of Ed Gein.
Interesting.
Which is Ed Gein is a serial killer who basically sparked what we know as like modern day horror and slasher
He's
films.
fucked.
Like anything like Texas,
Let's get into that.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and many more.
Yeah.
But Ed Gein also was someone who had a very domineering, overbearing mother who died, and he like kept his mother's room in like pristine condition.
Is that not Ed Kemper?
No, Ed Kemper.
I mean,
Ed Kemper
he was
murdered.
Most serial
creepy.
killers
Ed
have
Kemper
terrible mothers.
murdered his mother and then had sex with her
With
head.
her neck. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
But,
is fucked.
Yeah, which is crazy. Ed Gein kept his mother's room in pristine condition, but what he did was he grave robbed.
Right.
And he used like skin and bones and stuff to make like ornaments and stuff.
Ew.
And he murdered a couple people.
Christmas.
And
He
this
just
was
murdered a couple
and he
people.
murdered a couple
Merry
people.
Christmas,
Merry Christmas. He was like,
and
oh,
this
man,
is-
I made it
yeah.
home.
And this is late 50s, so this is like the, like any of that sort of psychology or like any of that
This is pre-Mindhunter.
this is pre-Mindhunter.
Yeah.
So this is where like it broke the mold and it was really crazy. So like of course like Ed Gein's story and Norman Bates' story are very different, but there's like that's the journey to there. So like it's based in some fact, and of course like in this period of time, people were like, "Ooh, serial killers." You know?
Neat.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm still like that. I don't know what you mean by like this time period. I'm like,
but
every
this-
time
I
I
feel
hear
like-
this is more fucked up. If you're like, oh, serial killer, boring. Like, that's fucked to me. If you're like, I don't want to watch this documentary because I'm bored of it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? There's dead bodies in the fridge and you don't care?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
But
Movie's about you.
yeah. But Psycho's great. It's twists and turns. It's following one road, and then 20 minutes in, you're following another road, and then it's
So good.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And like there's hints, but like it's done so subtly, and it's
I like that there's no main character.
well, I mean, other than Norman Bates.
Norman is the only through line, but all these characters that you're like, these are the protagonists. Like,
Yeah.
you're not with them for long.
Yeah. And it's
I
not
think
like
that's
and
dope.
it's not like like the kind of in a slasher where it's the final girl who's just like struggling and running through the house. Like
Right.
there's no running through
Yeah.
the house. She finds the mother, he lifts up the knife, the boyfriend knocks him out.
Yeah.
Like that's the end. It's but it's the reveal. Like it's all the what makes it spooky, which makes it scary and exciting is it's the reveals of everything. It's the holy shit, I didn't know that. I didn't see that coming. Wait, he's the mother? Like it's more, and that's Hitchcock. Hitchcock's not necessarily about the violence. It's more about like, yeah, it's the surprise. It's always about the surprise, which like good horror should be. It's not always just blood and guts.
Fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Fear of the unknown is what makes horror scary.
Tension.
Yeah.
It's tension and it, yeah.
Spicy.
Spicy.
It's spicy and
in
it's
your
for the
eyes. What were we
eyes.
talking about?
It's
Spice
for
in
the
the
eyes. Yeah.
And we brought it all back.
I think that's the title of this episode, guys. Little spice in the eyes.
Ah, yes.
Or
it is.
that's the name of the drink.
Yes, spice in your
Spice in the
eyes.
eyes.
Spice in the eyes.
But wait, it's a bathtub full of blood and it's spicy. Yeah,
Spicy
I've never
eyes.
like
It makes sense to us, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
yeah, Psycho. Honestly, it's great. It's great and it's beautiful and it's good and it's great performances and they would make sequels.
They did. Well, there are sequels.
Yeah,
Wait, really?
Anthony
Yeah.
Perkins plays the role like 4 more times.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Psycho
In
2.
what?
There's a
Really?
yeah, there's a
Isn't there like 3 or 4?
I think there's 4. There's like a made-for-TV one and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then there was of course the series, and there was like I think another series that didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
But like he does, and honestly, Psycho 2, I actually really do enjoy.
I've never seen it. I've never
do
seen
enjoy
past
it.
Psycho.
Yeah.
90s or 60s. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Psycho 2 is
Only
cool.
Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho 2 is too cool. He comes. We're not going to do a full. all I'm
Psycho 2 begins with-
all I'm going to say is in Psycho 2 he comes back. He's done his time in like the psychiatric sort of thing.
He's done his time
He's
murdering how many people?
Well, and they're just like, well, he had a
He's healthy.
mental break. He's fine now. He's worked it out,
fine.
and he returns home.
he just wears the wig sometimes.
They just let him go back home
Yeah,
to where all
and
this
he-
trauma happened.
Yeah, and he lives in that.
Literally
And he,
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why not?
Freaking dumb.
but you know what? It's actually it's actually not a bad sequel.
Right?
Not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's not like Godfather 2, though.
No,
Haven't seen
but
it.
you know
No,
what?
sorry,
It,
haven't seen it, haven't
definitely
seen it,
it.
Yeah, we got Godfather.
But yeah, no, I recommend Psycho.
Point is, we like it.
First, let's get, you know
Wait,
what,
wait.
you guys? This is the first guest that has actually recommended the movie.
Well,
Wait,
No,
you
that's
took
a joke.
here we are.
Jizzo.
Watch
you took
the
like an hour and
goddamn
10
movie.
minutes just to recommend. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have done
Actually,
it in less,
guys,
but
No,
I gotta.
you couldn't.
I will have to. I have to congratulate you guys. This is probably our shortest episode
Really?
we've done. You guys were great.
Look at us.
I don't know. Is that a good thing?
Is it good?
Can we go,
We can go on.
There's things that I probably
good.
missed.
We want viewer retention, as it's called. Listener retention.
This has definitely been, the most remembered, I think, from the guests. Because
Really?
often we get
Memorable.
sidetracked. You guys have kept very well at staying on track. Because even
like,
though,
the
we're
point
cracking
is-
wise, we were, making yolks, we're doing stuff. But at the same time, you guys are like, okay, we're here to talk about Psycho, okay?
This is important.
We love the movie.
It's very straightforward plot. Though.
We also-
It
There's
is.
some
is.
twists and
It-
turns,
it-
but it's like
It
Well,
goes
it's
A to
not.
B to C to D to fucking Z all of a sudden. And
it's
you're
not like Ocean's
what?
11 where you
No,
gotta
no, no.
remember.
Oh man.
No.
I couldn't even imagine. I
don't
don't even remember everyone's
what
names.
happened.
Yeah.
We had a sheet.
Well, I made a nice little
There was
little graphic that we all looked at.
I was going to Vegas and I was like, I really want to watch
Ocean's
Ocean's 11.
11.
And my boyfriend was like, you just want to watch it because of the sexy boys. I was like, no. No, I want to watch it because of the intricate crime. And that's what happened.
I
And we
want
watched it and he goes,
inspiration.
wow, that was great. And I was like, you're welcome.
I love Scott Conn.
Me too. What a gift.
God's gift.
All right.
Gift to us.
Well,
Thank you.
that was Psycho.
That was Psycho.
That was pretty great. I had watched that movie like pretty long time ago, and I forgot a lot about it. What happened?
Honestly, it's so good, and
It's
it
so
still
good.
surprises me. The performances. It's all about the performances, and
Yeah.
I would say Anthony Perkins is just like so
Perfect.
good. He's
Psycho,
so
you know?
perfect and so psycho,
Yeah.
but like,
Psycho.
but not like psycho off the bat. You're just like, oh, he's kind of just like sad. He's just like a sad
You
character.
feel
Sad
bad
boy.
for
You
him.
feel bad for him, like he's like stuck in this with this over dominating mean mother.
Again, it's every guy I've dated in Toronto. Like, it's just this thing where you're like, oh, your mom's too much.
Yeah, it's complicated. Well, and that's like also like so many psychopathic serial
relatable.
killers are all connected to their mother. They blame their
Most-
mother, or
yeah.
their mother are really bad.
Most
it seems
serial
it's
killers are so
just like-
relatable.
it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, his mother dressed him up as a girl and wanted him to be a girl, and now he hates women.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're like,
Well, I think
get
this is
it.
from last podcast and the last left, but I'm pretty sure it's like every serial killer is basically just like their mother was. Your dick is bad.
yeah, your dick is your ding dong is dirty. Wash
Wash it in blood. Is that too much?
Just a sandpaper. Wash it with a sandpaper.
Ew.
My dingle dangle hurts. My dingle dangle hurts. Wash it in sandpaper.
I hate this so much.
That'd be our opener.
Yes, that's it. That'll be easy to find.
Yeah, you're really clear.
But that's so you feel bad for him.
I mean,
bad.
yeah.
Sandpaper dick, you know?
Yeah.
If somebody was like, yeah, I got a sandpaper dick, I'd be like, oh no, that's rough.
Literally.
Literally, Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, guys, that was enlightening.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug your socials
Yeah.
with the folks at home?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have those.
What do you got going for the people at home?
Oh my.
Go ahead.
What's our what's our Instagram? It's
At
the
yeah.
R.I.P.
Dot.
Oh fuck me. Okay.
Yeah, we never can do
dot.
it.
At the R.I.P. podcast.
Yeah.
At no, that's it.
That's on the Instagram. That's just the
That's Instagram.
the
If you want to email us, guess what the fucking website is? It's Gmail. Send us an email.
yeah. So
I don't know.
Twitter,
What's my
Facebook.
personal? We don't do that.
Oh,
We're
Insta
we're
only.
pretty official on like one thing.
You got
We're gonna
TikTok.
get a get a Facebook.
yeah, Facebook at some point.
Fuck, it's hard though. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, I can't be bothered. My personal is Shawna Edward. That's it. Shoot me a message. I'm fun.
Yeah, I'm at Rob Feedham, and yeah, follow us on Instagram at the.rip.podcast.
No, it's not at the dot.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
at
is.
The R dot.
No.
Yes.
No, on our
I
Instagram.
swear to God, there's no dot before the R.
I swear to
Why
you.
would there
We'll
be a
probably
dot
link
before the
this,
R?
But
I'm gonna find it.
At like the R.
You're killing
The
me.
dot RIP dot podcast.
Not
Yeah,
the
it's
dot though.
the dot RIP.
Why
dot
did we do that?
podcast,
That's
because
stupid.
we were learning. maybe because I think it was probably the only one we could do.
Okay. Cancel everything I said.
So it's at.
Yeah, none of what she said.
So you can follow us on Instagram at the.rip.podcast. You can also find us on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere else you listen to your podcast.
That's
at
truth.
The R.I.P.podcast.
That's way too convoluted. It just doesn't
There we
make
go.
any
We
sense.
need a new name.
But the thing is, because the thing is like I always say, just go to the R.I.P. podcast, and people do that, and then I'm just like, oh shit, don't forget about the dots.
Don't forget about the docs, folks.
This was supposed to take 5 seconds.
Remember?
So clearly, going into the new year, we've got some things to
We're
work
about
out.
to rebrand.
Yeah. Anyways, follow us on that show. It's spooky fun. It's really hilarious.
We're cute.
We're
I highly
investigating.
recommend.
Yeah, we're investigating
Yeah.
all things weird and unusual and
Please never come to my house or do anything to do with me. I swear to God. I swear to God.
We might.
No.
Well, folks,
But
that was Psycho. Only the best that Spielberg can deliver.
listen up, y'all, because this is it. Fuck you.
So, if you want to hear more shit like this, you can follow at Haven't Seen a Podcast on Instagram or at Big Cake Comedy anywhere else.
Just keep it spicy.
Keep it spicy, folks.
Spicy in the eyes.
Spicy in the eyes.
spicy in the
If you guys
eyes.
learned anything tonight, keep it
So
spicy in the
much.
eyes.